the worst advice a counselor has ever told you? Personal or couples, it doesn't matter. But I want to know the worst advice you ever received. I was in couples counseling with my abusive ex. I didn't share that he was abusive because I would have been abused more when we got home. But we were in session and he was complaining about his needs not being met. I didn't initiate sex enough. I turned him down all the time. I had all these rules and it made him feel unwanted. So I shared with the counselor my discomfort around physical touch. I spoke about my past and how men have handled me without my consent. I spoke about SA and grape. And I feel like in that moment, the therapist really dropped the ball. Because if she would have asked a few more questions or dug into it a little bit further, she would have uncovered that it wasn't physical touch that made me feel icky. It was his physical touch. It was the energy behind his physical touch. Because I didn't have an issue when my ex-husband touched me or any other man that I've dated seriously, just him. And it's because he touched me with the same energy as the other men who touched me without my consent. The energy of entitlement, the energy of disrespect, the energy of ownership. He touched me with unsafe energy, which naturally activated all the trauma that was imprinted on my nervous system from the men who touched me like that before. But she didn't ask those questions. Instead, she said, it's not fair for you to punish your partner because of your past sexual trauma. You need to work on getting over that. I said, wait a minute. Isn't that the purpose of setting boundaries? So that I don't have to experience those feelings? Am I not allowed to decide how I do and don't want to be touched? And like I told him, I communicated how I wanted to be touched. I communicated what felt good and what didn't. For 3 years, I communicated it. But he didn't care. It didn't matter how I wanted to be touched. It only mattered how he wanted to touch me. And then he would wonder why I would recoil at his touch. And she backpedaled and she was like, yes, of course, you get to decide that. But of course, he didn't hear that part. All he heard was that I was holding my past against him and I needed to get over it. I learned that when I recoiled at his touch, it was my body sending me a message. Warning, unsafe. If this happens to you, listen to it. That's your internal guidance system. And if you're a therapist in these situations, I would encourage asking more questions to uncover the deeper issue. Otherwise, you could end up causing more damage. Drop a comment below.